That satisfying Wednesday morning, the hum of a helicopter broke the stillness over a small dusty town called Adaeze. People stopped in the middle of the road and looked up. Children pointed. Market women shaded their eyes with their hands. The helicopter circled once, twice, then landed in the open field behind the church. Two women in tailored business suits stepped out, their heels pressed into the red earth. One of them held a folder. The other carried a large gift bag. They walked straight into the market, past the yam sellers, past the palm oil traders, and stopped in front of a tiny tailor shop at the corner. They asked one question: is this where the seamstress named Adaeze works? Join us as we explore this incredible story of sacrifice and unexpected reward. Adaeze's mornings always started in the dark. By 4 o'clock she was already up. The generator had run out of fuel again. She reached for the small kerosene lamp by the window and struck a match. The flame flickered. She held it steady. Then she sat on the edge of her thin mattress and looked at her sewing machine in the corner. It was old. The pedal was cracked. The thread tension kept slipping, but it was hers. She had saved for 2 years to buy it second-hand from a man at the junction. Every morning she wiped it down with a dry cloth before leaving the house, like it was something precious. And to her it was. It was her only way forward. By 6:30, Adaeze was already at Mama Ife's tailoring shop in the market. The shop was small, but always busy. Mama Ife ran the place like a general. She had 3 seamstresses working under her, and she watched every stitch. Adaeze, that customer's dress was supposed to be ready yesterday, Mama Ife said without looking up. Yes, Ma, I'm finishing it now. Adaeze sat down at one of the machines and started working. Her fingers moved fast. She had always been good with fabric. Even as a child, before her mother passed, she used to sit beside her and watch her sew wrappers for the women in the neighborhood. Her mother taught her how to cut without wasting cloth, how to follow the grain, how to make a stitch so clean it looked like the fabric was born that way. That was the one thing her mother left her, the skill in her hands. The other seamstresses were already at their stations. Funke, who sat closest to the door, glanced at Adaeze and said nothing. She never said much, but her eyes said plenty. Funke had been Mama Ife's favorite before Adaeze came. She was the one customers always requested. She was the one Mama Ife praised at the end of the month. But slowly, things shifted. Adaeze's stitching was neater. Her designs were sharper. Customers started asking for her by name. Funke noticed. She noticed everything. That afternoon, while the shop was full of noise, machines humming, scissors cutting, radio playing, an old woman appeared at the entrance. She was thin. Her wrapper was torn at the hem. She held a faded blouse in one hand and leaned against the doorframe with the other. Her name was Naneka, though no one knew it then. She looked like she had walked a long distance. Her feet were dusty. Her eyes were tired. She stood there quietly, waiting for someone to notice her. Mama Ife saw her first. She looked up from the account book on her table, and her expression changed immediately. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice sharp. The old woman held up the blouse. "Please, I was hoping someone could help me mend this. It is the only good blouse I have left." Mama Ife looked at the blouse, then at the woman. "Do you have money?" she asked. The old woman's hand dropped slightly. "I don't have money right now, but Then why are you here?" Mama Ife cut in. She stood up and walked toward her. "This is a business, not a charity center. If you don't have money, don't waste my time." The old woman tried to speak again. "Please, I just need." "I said leave." Mama Ife's voice rose. Everyone in the shop went quiet. The machines stopped. Even the radio seemed to lower itself. The old woman looked around the room. Her eyes moved slowly from face to face. No one said anything. She clutched the blouse to her chest, turned and walked out. Adaeze had been watching the whole time. Her hands were still on the machine, but she had stopped sewing. Something about the way the old woman held that blouse, like it was the last thing she had, stayed with her. She pressed her lips together and went back to work, but her mind did not follow. That evening, after the shop closed, Adaeze walked home the same way she always did, past the motor park, through the shortcut behind the primary school, and down the narrow road that led to her compound. As she passed the old church building at the junction, she saw someone sitting on the low cement wall outside. She slowed down. It was the same old woman from earlier. She was sitting there with her blouse folded neatly on her lap. Her head was bowed. She was not begging. She was not calling out to anyone. She was just sitting. Adaeze stood across the road for a moment. Then she looked away and kept walking. She took about 10 steps. Then she stopped. She closed her eyes briefly. Her mind went back to the shop. The way the woman's voice had trembled, the way she had clutched that blouse. If my mother were still alive and someone treated her that way, Adaeze thought, how would I feel? She turned around. She walked back. "Good evening, Ma," Adaeze said gently. The old woman looked up. Their eyes met. There was surprise in hers. "Good evening, my daughter," she replied. Adaeze looked at the blouse on her lap. "Is that the same one from the shop?" The old woman nodded slowly. Adaeze held out her hand. "Give it to me. I will fix it for you." The woman hesitated. "But I cannot pay." Adaeze shook her head. "I did not ask for payment." There was a long pause. Then the woman slowly handed over the blouse. Adaeze checked the damage. The seam along the side had come apart. One button was missing. The collar was fraying. It was not a difficult fix. "I will bring it back to you tomorrow," Adaeze said. "Where can I find you?" The old woman pointed down the road. "I stay in the small house behind the market, the one with the zinc fence." Adaeze nodded. "I will come." That night, after eating a small plate of rice, Adaeze sat at her sewing machine and fixed the blouse by lamplight. She replaced the button with one from her own spare collection. She reinforced the collar. She pressed the seam flat with the back of a warm spoon, since she did not own an iron. When she was done, she held it up. It looked almost new. She folded it neatly, placed it in a clean plastic bag, and set it aside for morning. The next day, before going to the shop, Adaeze delivered the blouse. The old woman opened the bag and unfolded it slowly. She ran her fingers over the stitching. Her hands trembled slightly. "You did this?" she asked. "Yes, Ma." The woman looked at her for a long time. "Thank you, my daughter. You have no idea what this means to me." Adaeze smiled. "It is nothing, Ma." But something in the old woman's eyes told her it was not nothing, not to her. Adaeze left and went to work. She did not think about it again. Not until 3 days later, when the old woman appeared again at the shop entrance. This time she held a skirt. The zipper was broken. She did not step inside. She stood outside and waited. When Adaeze came out to buy thread from the next stall, she saw her. "Ma, is that another one?" The old woman looked almost embarrassed. "I'm sorry to trouble you again. This is the only skirt I wear to church." Adaeze took it. "I will fix it. Come back tomorrow." That evening, she replaced the zipper using one she had been saving for a customer's order that was not due for another week. She made a mental note to buy a replacement before then. It would cost her 200 naira she did not plan to spend, but she fixed it anyway. This became a pattern. Every few days, the old woman brought something: a torn wrapper, a loose hem, a dress with a broken clasp. Each time, Adaeze fixed it without charging. Each time, the old woman thanked her quietly and left. Adaeze never told anyone. She kept it between herself and God. But one afternoon, Funke saw something. She had been watching Adaeze for weeks. Something about Adaeze's routine had changed. She noticed Adaeze stepping out more often during break. She noticed the extra plastic bags. She noticed the small fabric scraps missing from the waste bin that Adaeze must have taken. One day, Funke followed her. She stayed behind the stalls, watching. She saw Adaeze hand a neatly folded garment to the old woman near the church wall. She saw the woman smile. She saw Adaeze wave and walk back. Funke pulled out her phone and took a photo. Back in the shop, Funke waited until Adaeze was alone near the cutting table. She walked up to her. "So," Funke said, leaning in, "you've been running a free tailoring service on the side?" Adaeze froze. "What are you talking about?" Funke showed her the photo on her phone. Adaeze's chest tightened. "That old woman Mama Ife chased away. You are using Mama Ife's thread, Mama Ife's needles, Mama Ife's zippers to sew for her?" "It's not like that," Adaeze said quickly. "I used my own supplies." "Really?" Funke tilted her head. "The zipper you used last Tuesday, that was from the shop's drawer. I checked." Adaeze went quiet. She had used one shop zipper, just one. She planned to replace it. "I was going to buy a new one before." "Save it," Funke said. Her voice was low, almost pleasant. "You should know that I will tell Mama Ife everything." Adaeze grabbed her arm. "Funke, please, don't do this. I'm helping an old woman who has nothing. That's all." Funke pulled her arm free. "That's your problem." She walked away. Adaeze's heart sank. She knew what was coming. The next morning, Adaeze arrived at the shop and barely had time to set down her bag before Mama Ife's voice cut through the air. "Adaeze!" The whole shop froze. Mama Ife stood in the middle of the room, arms crossed. Funke stood behind her, arms folded, face blank. So Mama Ife began, her voice like a blade. "You are the kind one, and I am the wicked one. Is that it?" Adaeze shook her head. "No, Ma. I never said. You are taking my supplies, my thread, my zippers, my needles, and using them to sew for the same beggar I sent away from this shop. Ma, it was only one zipper I was going to replace. One zipper today, one roll of thread tomorrow. Where does it stop?" Mama Ife stepped closer. "You think I am foolish? You think I don't see when things go missing?" Adaeze dropped to her knees. "Ma, please. I am sorry. I only wanted to help." "Help?" Mama Ife laughed sharply. "You want to help? Go and open your own shop and help as many beggars as you like." She pointed at the door. "Get out. You are done here." Adaze's lips moved, but no sound came out. She looked around the room. The other seamstresses looked down. Nobody spoke. She stood up slowly, picked up her bag and walked to the door. As she reached the entrance, Mama Ife added one more thing. "And don't come back." Adaeze walked home in silence. No salary for the month, no reference, no job. She sat on her mattress and stared at the wall. The sewing machine sat in the corner, watching her like an old friend who had no words. She did not cry. She pressed her palms against her face and breathed slowly. After a while, she stood up and looked at the small pile of fabric scraps she kept under her table. She counted the money in her savings tin. 3,000 naira. That was all she had left. She had been saving to buy a new pedal for her machine. The old one cracked worse each week. Without a proper pedal, the machine would stop working soon. She stared at the tin for a long time. Then her mind went somewhere else. She thought of the old woman. She wondered if she had eaten today. She wondered if she was sitting alone again at the church wall, holding another torn garment with no one to help her. Adaeze put the tin down. She went to her small kitchen and cooked a pot of jollof rice. She served herself a little. Then she packed the rest in a container. She walked to the church junction. The old woman was there. She was sitting in the same spot, looking weaker than before. Her head was low. Her breathing was slow. "Ma," Adaeze called softly. The old woman lifted her head. "Adaeze." She sounded surprised. "You came. I brought you food." The woman looked at the container. Then she looked at Adaeze. "Why?" she asked. "Why do you keep doing this? I heard what happened. You lost your job because of me." Adaeze sat beside her. "I did not lose my job because of you, Ma. I lost it because some people don't understand that kindness is not weakness." The old woman's eyes glistened. "But your machine, your savings, you are struggling yourself." Adaeze forced a smile. "God will provide." The woman said nothing for a while. Then she held Adaeze's hand. Her grip was surprisingly firm. "You are a rare one," she whispered. Over the following days, things got harder. Adaeze searched for work. She went from shop to shop in the market, asking if anyone needed a seamstress. Some said no. Some said they would think about it. One woman laughed and said, "Are you not the girl Mama Ife fired for stealing?" The word spread quickly in a small market. Nobody wanted to hire her. At night, the crack on her machine pedal got wider. She wrapped it with tape. It held for 2 days, then split again. She tied it with wire. It held for 1 more day. Then it broke completely. Without the pedal, the machine was useless. Adaeze sat on the floor and looked at the broken pedal in her hand. She had nothing left. No job, no working machine. 3,000 naira that would barely last a week. But still, every evening she cooked whatever she had and brought a portion to the old woman. One day she brought gari and soup. Another day she brought boiled yams. Some days she only brought bread and groundnuts, but she always brought something. One evening the old woman looked at her and said, "You don't look well, my daughter. Are you eating enough?" Adaeze smiled. "I'm fine, Ma." "You are lying," the old woman said gently. "I can see your cheeks are thinner, your eyes are tired." Adaeze looked down. "Things are difficult right now, but I will manage." The old woman went quiet for a moment. Then she said something Adaeze did not expect. "What would you do if you had everything you needed?" Adaeze blinked. "What do you mean? If you had money, a good machine, a shop of your own, what would you do?" Adaeze thought about it. "I would sew," she said simply. "I would sew for anyone who needed it. Beautiful clothes, strong clothes, clothes that make people feel like they matter." The old woman nodded slowly, as if she was noting something deep inside. She said nothing more, but her eyes stayed on Adaeze long after she left. 3 days later, something happened. Adaeze was walking back from the market after another failed attempt to find work. As she entered her compound, her neighbor rushed to meet her. "Adaeze, people came looking for you." "People? What people?" "2 women. They came in a big jeep. They said they would come back tomorrow morning." Adaeze frowned. "Did they say what they wanted?" "No, but they were dressed very well, like businesswomen." Adaeze did not sleep well that night. Her mind kept turning. Who were these women? Did she owe someone money? Was she in trouble? The next morning at exactly 10 o'clock, a shiny black SUV pulled up in front of her compound. The same 2 women from before stepped out. One held a folder, the other held a large bag. They walked in. "Good morning," the first woman said. "Are you Adaeze?" "Yes, our employer would like to meet you." Adaeze stepped back slightly. "Who is your employer?" The woman opened the folder and handed Adaeze a card. It was thick, cream-colored, with gold lettering. Adaeze read the name. Then she read it again. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. The name on the card was one she had seen on billboards, on the tags of expensive fabrics, on the front of the biggest fashion house in the entire region. It was a name every seamstress in the country knew. "This cannot be real," Adaeze whispered. The woman smiled. "She would like to see you today, if you are willing." Adaeze looked at the card one more time. Her hand was shaking slightly. "Yes," she said, "I will come." They drove for 2 hours. The SUV turned off the main road and onto a smooth private drive lined with palm trees. At the end of it stood a compound so large Adaeze had to lean forward in her seat to see the whole thing. White walls, glass windows, green lawns. A security guard opened the gate and the car drove through. They parked in front of the main building. One of the women opened the door for Adaeze. She stepped out and looked around, her heart beating hard. "Please follow us." They walked inside. The floors were marble, the ceilings were high, art hung on the walls, fabrics, beautiful fabrics, were displayed in glass cases along the hallway. Adaeze's eyes could not settle. Then they entered a large sitting room and everything stopped. Sitting in a wide armchair near the window, dressed in a perfectly tailored outfit with gold earrings and a soft smile, was the old woman, the same face, but not the same person. She looked different now, clean, strong, regal. Her wrapper was not torn, her feet were not dusty, her eyes were not tired, they were sharp, bright, full of knowing. Adaeze stopped walking, her breath caught. "Ma?" she whispered. The woman stood up slowly, she said, "Let me tell you who I really am." Adaeze sat, her body was still, her mind was racing. The woman folded her hands. "My name is Nneka Achebe. I am the founder and owner of Achebe Couture." Adaeze knew the name. Everyone knew the name. Achebe Couture supplied fabrics and designs to some of the biggest fashion brands in West Africa. They had stores in Lagos, Accra, Nairobi. Nneka Achebe was one of the wealthiest women in the country, and she had been sitting on a cement wall outside a church in a torn wrapper. "I did not mean to lie to you," Nneka continued, "but I had a reason." She paused. "I am getting older. I built this company from nothing with my own 2 hands, but I have no one to pass it to. My children moved abroad years ago. They have no interest in fabric, in fashion, in this country. They send money, yes, but they do not understand what I built." She looked at Adaeze. "For months, I have been traveling to small towns, disguising myself, visiting tailors and seamstresses. I wanted to find someone with real skill and a real heart. Someone who sews not just for profit, but because they care about the person wearing the cloth." Her voice softened. "I went to many towns. I tested many people. Some turned me away. Some helped once and never again. Some helped only when they thought someone was watching." She shook her head. "Then I found you." Adaeze's eyes were wet. She could not speak. Nneka continued. "You fixed my blouse when you had nothing to gain. You replaced my zipper using your own supplies. You fed me when you yourself were not eating enough. And even after you lost your job because of me, you still came back. You still brought food. You still sat with me." She leaned forward. "Do you know how rare that is?" Adaeze finally found her voice. "I did not know who you were, Ma. I just saw someone who needed help." Nneka smiled. "That is exactly why I chose you." She stood up and walked to a side table. She picked up a large envelope and brought it back. "I want to offer you a position," she said, "not as a seamstress in someone else's shop, As the head designer of a new workshop I am opening in your town, you will have your own team, your own machines, your own space. And in time, when you are ready, I want you to take over the company." Adaeze's hands trembled. "Ma, I am just a girl from a small town. I did not go to fashion school. I don't have." "You have something no school can teach," Nneka said firmly. "You have hands that create beauty and a heart that creates kindness. That is enough. The rest we will build together." Adaeze pressed her hands over her face. Tears ran between her fingers. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, Ma." Nneka held her. "No, thank you. You reminded an old woman that good people still exist in this world." That afternoon, Nneka's team drove Adaeze to the market, the same market where she had been fired, the same market where people had whispered about her. The SUV stopped in front of Mama Ife's shop. The engine hummed softly. People looked. Whispers started. One of the assistants opened the door. Adaeze stepped out. She was wearing a beautifully tailored dress that Nneka's team had given her. Behind her, Nneka herself stepped out of the car. Mama Ife came to the door of her shop. Her face changed. She recognized the old woman. Then she recognized Adaeze's. Then she saw the car. Then she saw the logo on the assistant's jacket. Adaeze couture. Mama Ife's mouth opened, but no words came out. Funky appeared behind her. Her eyes went wide. Adaeze did not shout. She did not gloat. She looked at Mama Ife calmly and said, "Good afternoon, Ma." Mama Ife swallowed. "Adaeze," she said. Her voice was small. Nneka stepped forward. She looked at Mama Ife directly. "You chased this woman away for helping me. You punished her for showing kindness in your shop." She paused. "I want you to know something. The beggar woman you turned away from your door, the one you said was wasting your time, that was me." The color drained from Mama Ife's face. Funky stepped back into the shadows. Nneka continued. "Adaeze did what you refused to do. She saw a person in need and she responded. Not for reward, not for praise. She responded because that is who she is." She looked around the market. People had gathered. They were listening. "From today," Nneka said, "Adaeze will be opening a new workshop in this market. Adaeze Couture will sponsor it fully. Anyone who wants to learn, anyone who needs honest work, come to her." She turned to Adaeze. "This is your beginning, my daughter." Adaeze looked at Mama Ife one last time. There was no anger in her eyes, no revenge, just a quiet peace. "I hope you understand now, Ma," she said softly. "Kindness is never a waste." Mama Ife looked down. She said nothing. Funke had already disappeared inside. That evening, Adaeze returned to her small house. The roof was still leaking in the corner. The broken pedal still sat on the table. But everything was different now. She sat on the edge of her mattress, holding the envelope Nneka had given her. Inside was a contract, a check for startup funds, and a handwritten note that said, "To the girl who sewed my blouse by lamplight, you stitched your way into a future you deserve." Adaeze held the note against her chest. She thought about her mother. She thought about the old sewing machine. She thought about the night she almost walked past an old woman on a cement wall and kept going. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Mama. I kept the skill you gave me, and it kept me." And so, the story of Adaeze reminds us of something simple but powerful. You never truly know who you are helping. You never know what door a small act of kindness might open. The thread you give to someone in need might be the very thread that stitches your own future together. What do you think about this story? Have you ever helped a stranger and been surprised by what came back to you? Share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Another beautiful story will be coming your way very soon. Thank you so much for watching.